Beginning. The Death World Human. The first thing anyone noticed about Rhett Hale wasn't his height, or his build, or the scars on his arms. It was the quiet way he carried himself, like someone who'd seen hell, walked through it, and learned to live with the heat. He was a human from Earth, classified by the Galactic Census as a Class 4 Death World, a place so hostile that most species refuse to visit without full armored escort. To the more fragile species, diplomats, traders, scholars, humans were an anomaly, frail in appearance, unpredictable in behavior, and terrifying in crisis. But Rhett wasn't a soldier. He was just a survival instructor teaching basic resilience to cadets at the Galactic Coalition Academy. The Academy's newest class included species from every corner of the stars, but one in particular drew attention the moment she stomped into the training ground. A towering, heavily scaled warrior with crimson eyes. A Krell. Krell were bred for war on volcanic worlds, strong enough to crush steel with their bare claws. They were notoriously aggressive, proud to the point of stupidity, and considered impossible to train unless raised from birth. This one was named Viroctren, though most simply called her Rock. And she absolutely hated humans. Rhett could tell from the second she looked at him. Her nostrils flared. Her claws flexed. She hissed softly. Most cadets backed away on instinct. Rhett didn't. He simply nodded. Krell warrior. Good to meet you. She blinked, thrown off balance. You are small. And you're loud, he said with a shrug. Let's get to work. The other instructors watched from a distance. They whispered among themselves. No one can handle a Krell this temperamental. She'll crush Hale within a week. This is a disaster waiting to happen. But Rhett wasn't afraid. He grew up on a death world. He knew how to handle danger. And he saw something in Rock's glare. A challenge, yes, but also confusion. Isolation. Maybe even fear. They would misunderstand each other for a long time. But this was where their story began. The first clash. Training day 1 was a disaster. Rock refused commands. Refused safety protocols. Refused to even stay in formation. When Rhett calmly tried to redirect her, she snarled, You are weak. I do not learn from prey. Then lucky for you, Rhett said evenly. I'm not prey. She lunged. Cadets screamed and scattered. Another instructor reached for a tranquilizer. Rhett raised a hand. No, he said. Let her come. Rock slammed into him with the force of a charging hoverbike. Rhett ducked, sidestepped, and used her own momentum to flip her over his shoulder. She crashed into the dirt, stunned and furious. He didn't gloat, didn't smirk, just stood there calmly. Feel better? He asked. She roared and charged again. He dodged again. By the 5th attempt, her rage had slowed. Not from weakness. Krell had endurance for days, but from confusion. Rhett wasn't fighting her. He was surviving her. Enough, he said finally. You're strong. Everyone knows that. But strength without control isn't power. It's waste. Rock panted, eyes burning. You are not what I expected. Humans rarely are. He extended a hand. She stared at it for a long, tense moment, then placed her clawed palm in his. It was the first crack in her armor. Middle, tension, trust, and change. Over the next weeks, something strange happened. Rock didn't become calmer, didn't become gentle, didn't suddenly stop being Krell. But she began to listen. Rhett taught her how to pace her strength, how to adapt techniques from other species, how to recognize threats before they happened. He didn't force her. He didn't dominate her. He didn't treat her like a beast that needed breaking. He treated her like someone who was capable of learning if given the chance. She had never experienced that. Krell warriors were trained through violence, punishment, and competition. Respect was earned through fear. Rhett offered something different. One day, after a grueling course run, she approached him hesitantly. "Human, why do you teach me?" "Because you want to learn," he said simply. "No one has wanted to teach me," she admitted. "They only want to contain me." "That's because they don't understand you. And you do." He smiled faintly. "Better than most." Rock stared at him, something softening in her usually harsh expression. A flicker of respect, real respect, took root in her eyes. But the Academy wasn't ready for that. Rumors spread. Whispers followed them. A Krell obeying a human? Impossible. Unnatural. Dangerous. Some cadets admired Rhett. Others became jealous. A few feared Rock even more. The tension rose. And then the crisis hit. The incident. Betrayal in the dark. The Coalition Academy had enemies. One of those enemies finally made a move. On a stormy night, saboteurs breached the outer perimeter, disabling emergency systems and sealing the training complex. Their target, Rock herself. The Krell were viewed as potential weapons or threats, depending on who controlled them. If someone could kill Rock and blame the Academy, they could ignite a war between the Coalition and the Krell Dominion. Rhett was in the mechanical bay when alarms failed to activate. He noticed instantly. Death World instincts. He sprinted toward the trainees' dorms, just in time to hear the explosion. Smoke. Screams. Cracking metal. Rock burst through the flames, claws extended, eyes blood-red with fury. But she wasn't fighting enemies. She was fighting collapsing debris. The saboteurs had detonated the support beams, trapping cadets inside. She roared in frustration, smashing her fists into a massive fallen pillar, but even her strength couldn't move it. Red didn't hesitate. He grabbed her wrist. Together. She snarled, "This is hopeless." "Rock," he shouted. "Focus. With me." Her eyes widened. She listened. They braced, pushed, and lifted, the screech of tearing metal shaking the hall as the pillar rose inch by inch. Cadets crawled out beneath it. But the saboteurs weren't done. A hidden explosive rolled down the hallway toward them, blinking rapidly. Rock shoved Red out of the way. He grabbed the device, looked at her, and grinned. "Run." He hurled it down another corridor and dove over Rock as the explosion tore the hall apart. The blast echoed. Silence followed. Smoke cleared. Rhett coughed, pushing himself up from where he'd shielded her. "You saved me," she rasped. He shrugged weakly. "We're even." She stared at him like she couldn't comprehend what she was seeing. A human, small, soft, fragile. Risking himself for her? Krell would do that only for bonded broodmates. No one else. Her chest tightened with something foreign. Something dangerous. Something powerful. The attackers fled, realizing their plan had failed. Rhett pulled her to her feet. "You okay?" Rock looked down at him. For the first time, her voice was quiet. "I do not understand you." "That makes two of us," he muttered. The turning point, taming a Krell. The days after the attack changed everything. Rock began following Rhett not out of obedience, but loyalty. She sat near him during training. She consulted him before making decisions. She watched him with intensity that unsettled other instructors. Word spread fast. The Krell warrior had bonded with a human. Not physically, not romantically, but socially, emotionally, culturally. Krell only bonded with those they respected enough to die for. Those they considered equals in strength, spirit, and worth. A human had earned that. Many at the Academy feared what this meant. A Krell bonded to a Death World human could unite two dangerous forces and destabilize the political balance. The Academy Council summoned Rhett. Rock went with him, uninvited, teeth bared until the guards backed away. Inside the council chamber, the directors stood around a holographic table, murmuring anxiously. One director spoke sharply. Red Hale, you have become a threat to planetary diplomacy. Rock growled. Explain. Now. Your bond, another said, could be interpreted as an attempt by humans to control Krell warriors. Brett frowned. No one controls Rock. Correct, she grunted. No one. Then why does she obey you? A third director demanded. Rock straightened indignantly. I obey no one. I choose to listen. Because he understands battle. Pain. Survival. He is a death world human. More warrior than all of you. Rhett winced internally, not helping Rock. But the council had already reached their verdict. The safest course of action, the lead director declared, is to separate you. Permanently. Rock froze. Her claws fully extended. You will not take him from me. Rock, Rhett whispered. Don't. But the decision had already spiraled beyond diplomacy. The council ordered security units to escort Rock to a containment area for evaluation. She roared, slashing through the first stun drone with terrifying ease. More drones swarmed. Energy nets deployed. Shock batons crackled. Rhett stepped forward. Stop. The drones froze, not from command, but confusion. He walked between the guards and the Krell warrior. If you want to separate us, he said calmly, you'll have to go through me. The entire chamber erupted in gasps. A human defending a Krell against the coalition itself? The counselor stared. And Rock. She stared at Rhett with something no one had ever seen in a Krell's eyes. Recognition. Bond. Absolute trust. Ending. The human who tamed a Krell warrior. The standoff lasted nearly a minute. Then the lead director sighed deeply. This complicates things. Rock growled. This is simple. She stepped forward, placing one massive clawed hand over Rhett's shoulder. Protective, possessive, unshakably loyal. We are partners. You cannot break that. The counselors exchanged anxious looks. Finally, one whispered, Perhaps we are misinterpreting the bond. Another nodded slowly. Krell bonding behavior is not subjugation. It is alliance. A third cleared their throat. And humans are unpredictable, emotional, recklessly loyal. Rhett shrugged. Guilty. Silence fell again. The lead director finally spoke. Red Hale. Vieroctren. Your partnership is unprecedented. But perhaps we should not fear it. Perhaps it is something the coalition needs. Rock lifted her chin. Acceptance. Yes, the director said reluctantly. Under one condition. Rhett exhaled nervously. Which is, you two will serve as a joint unit. Trainers for integrated species survival teams. A symbol of unity between Death World humans and Krell warriors. Rock grinned, a terrifying, tooth-filled grin that could melt steel. I accept. Rhett laughed quietly. Guess I do too. The council dismissed them. As they walked out together, Rock stopped him abruptly. You stood for me, she said. Of course I did. No one stands for a Krell. Not even other Krell. Well, Rhett said with a shrug. I'm not other Krell. She studied him for a long moment. Then, in a gesture no one had ever witnessed, she bowed her head. To you, Red Hale, I swear my loyalty in battle, my strength in danger, my life if needed. He froze. Rock. It is done, she rumbled. You have tamed a Krell warrior. He sighed. I didn't tame you. Correct, she said proudly. You earned me. And with that, the Death World human and the Krell warrior walked into their new future, two forces of nature bound not by domination, but by something far more powerful: respect, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between warriors.